Happy Easter, everyone. Just a full disclosure, this episode we recorded in separate locations, staying safe during the current pandemic. Thankfully, Skype has free video calling services, so we were able to do it that way. However, our audio is not the best. We don't have our usual equipment this time, so please bear with us. We'll have a lot of great stuff to talk about, just not the best audio. All right, let's move on.
Everyone has a secret. It's just a matter of finding out what they are.
We're Nerdzones.
So this month, it's my pick. And we're hey, it's only 4 months in and I've already had 3 choices.
No, when's my choice?
You get like 3 choices in a row soon. So this month, we're doing the Swedish version of Girl with a Dragon Tattoo versus the American version. So the reason why I did this is because, as you all know, I like to read, and my sister lent me the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo Millennium Trilogy. And I read it. It was a little bit dry, a little bit hard to get into. But as I was reading it, I was thinking, this would actually be a really good movie. And then a few years later, found out that it was a trilogy of the movies. And I was just, this is awesome. And as we all know, I like foreign films. I like artsy-fartsy films. So this was right up my alley. And also, I really enjoy Noomi Rapace. She's a Swedish actress who was in, not the Alien movies. What's the other one? The new Alien movie.
I don't know.
No,
Prometheus. Or...
Yeah, she was in Prometheus.
Oh, cool. I think I can rewatch that.
Yeah, so I'll just tell you what it's a little bit about. It's a young journalist is aided by a young female hacker in search for a killer of a woman who has been dead for 40 years.
Yeah, which already the plot sounds amazing.
When I was looking, I was like, oh, it sounds like every other thriller movie. Like, it sounds like the plot of every other movie, but once you actually get into it, you're like, no, this is actually really good.
Yeah, I have to admit, so I did want to watch this. I never got around to it. There are some parts that are really difficult, but the actual crime, the solving, the codes, everything like that was amazing. It was better than most crime shows that I watch, and I watch a lot of them, or unsolved shows and stuff, and it was really well done.
Well, one thing that I have to point out that I do like about these movies is the fact that, yes, she's a hacker, but whenever you go into CSI or whatever, they're always enhance the image. But this one, and then it brings up like a perfect crystal clear image of something that, you can't see.
Yes, yeah.
Whereas this one, they enhance the image, but you can't see who it is. And that's, it's not important. Well, it is important, but it's not something that you notice. But I think that's something great.
I think it was really, really good too. Actually, on that topic, I had a note here about the negatives he was going through. Mm-hmm. So when he was going through the negatives, it looked really cool on his Mac computer when he was playing it fast and she turns ahead. It looked like this creepy little girl from the 60s was staring through the camera lens. That was a really good effect, and all they needed was negatives and like a crappy sepia tone images.
Yeah. I have a little fun fact. So the Swedish version has Noomi Rapace and Michael Nyqvist. I'm probably going to butcher their names.
And he is from John Wick.
And sadly, he has passed away. Yeah, so that's a little bit sad. And also, the director is, I'm totally going to butcher this, and I apologize, Niles Abdeb Oblov, who also directed the remake of Flatliners.
Yes, which we are going to do later on this year.
Yes, and I actually found out that the original title of Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, the Swedish title, don't get me to pronounce it, actually translates to Men Who Hate Women.
Oh, God, it just makes me so angry.
Yes.
Even the title stipulates why I get angry.
At the beginning, when Mikkel was, he was actually in prison and he did time and things like that. And whereas the other one, which I apologize, I'm probably going to go in and out, it was just cool, he got a fine.
Yeah, okay, so the majority of my notes are actually on the second one because the first 10 minutes I hated. But then as I went through, I'm like, oh, actually, there are some things they changed that worked for them. There are some things they changed and it didn't work for them. And that was, I had that in my notes. I thought it was really silly that he didn't have that sentence because the whole point of the first one was he had that time frame to solve it before he had to go and serve his sentence.
The American version is more true to the book, except the ending.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
But, see, one of the things that I actually want to compare now is the first scene when you meet Lisbeth, right? So Lisbeth Numi is in the meeting room and she's got the two men squished next to her, and it feels like that the men are overpowering her and that she has no and I don't know how to explain it, like the men are overpowering her.
But at the same time, if you look at the imagery, she sat way at the other end of the table, and it just shows how she tries to distance herself from people.
Yes, see, that's what I have to say about the American one, is that the American one, she sits at the very far end.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I want nothing to do with this.
Which there were some things too. I had this in my notes. I love Rooney Mara. I actually think she's an amazing actress, and I feel like she was probably one of the only good things in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. She is just really good. She plays that type of character really well.
I didn't know who she was at all in this.
No, she does like really good indie films. She does that good traumatized, deep sort of like person. And they did a lot of things throughout this one to really show how she was numb, I thought. So, for instance, when she got her tattoo and they really emphasized the bruising on her ankle and they're like, this is going to hurt. And she's like, do it anyway. It just showed that she was just numb, and to get close to her is like a really big thing.
Yes.
And they really showed that for her character, I think, in the second one.
I like the look of Lisbeth more in the
first
original
one. Yeah, I agree.
I think, she's grungy, she's herself without looking overdone and
yes. The poster, the actual promotional poster, they had her with the big mohawk, and that I did not like the look of. I always thought the original poster looked better, so it already turned me off wanting to watch it. Secondly, I despise Daniel Craig. I just can't stand his movies. I know it's a shock, but this movie, he's turned me around his films. Like, it was a really, really good film with him in it. And I can't stand him. But I found
he's such a mohawk.
No, he's not. But I found with her hairstyles, I actually liked it in this one because it changed. Like, no one wants to do the same hairstyle every day. She had braids. Sometimes she just put it in a ponytail. She actually didn't display the big mohawk, which was cool. It was just the poster, and I think they should have kept that off the poster and just stuck with what her hair was in the movie.
I didn't like the look of the American version of Lisbeth with the no eyebrows.
That was weird. The bleached eyebrows. But the hair was more accurate to the goth at that time. You know how they had the fringes that were like super, super short, which I've never liked, but it's an in thing. Like, even if you walk in Newtown in Sydney, you'll see a lot of people with fringes like that. And then she just had the undercut shave. That was all it was. It was just styled differently.
But even like her piercings were a little bit different, and
I feel like they were over the top. Did you get that?
Very over the top.
Yeah.
Very over the top. Whereas the Swedish one, she just had the septum and a nose piercing, and yes, she wore like black lipstick and stuff like that, but I just felt like it was more authentic.
Yeah. I have to say, I think her physique in the first one was amazing.
Which one?
She was so muscly, the Swedish one.
Oh, yeah.
But she wasn't like overly muscly. And it was, I don't know, sometimes it's cool to see that on a girl, because they always make you look stick thin in movies, and it was just cool to see, hey, this is a strong girl. Yeah, and she was in her boots the whole time. That was...
Yeah. And I have to say that I really liked this Swedish version of Mikkel more than I did Daniel Radcliffe, even though I'm a huge
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig. Whoops, sorry, Harry Potter. Yeah, but we're going to have to get to it. But can I just say that scene was way more horrific in the Swedish one than it was in the American
I actually
one.
felt sick watching that. I felt like I was in the room witnessing that. It was so horrible I had to walk away. And I can stomach some horror movies, but that was just, and you know what makes it worse? It's the scream. The screaming was just so horrible.
Yes, absolutely. And I just thought that they did that cinematically, they did that beautifully.
Exactly. And it just shows you how well of an actress and actor they are to make you feel that.
But
from
man,
acting.
did she get her revenge. How good was her revenge?
It was so great, but I think the revenge was a little bit better in the new one because she replaced Tillerkin with a metal rod. So that would hurt much more. It was this big metal thing. That would have been so much worse.
Yes. And one thing that kind of annoyed me is that in the American one, there was too much, I'm sorry for keep going back and forth, but there was, McDonald's and so many product placements that really annoyed me. And the fact that her hacker friend was...
He was rude.
That he was fat and he was, exactly like a typical nerd computer guy would be. And I'm just like, why do stereotypes? Not all of us are
even
like
the
that.
original, he was, fat and like that. But in the original, they seemed to have an unspoken friendship, respect for each other. Whereas this one, they just made him out to be rude. Yeah. And I don't like that. That was a point I had. There were a few character changes that I didn't think were necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll have a look through my notes to what the other ones were. Sorry, I remembered the other one, the other character change. It was Cecilia. So they changed her demeanor. She was much ruder and harsher, whereas she was quite friendly to him in the Swedish version.
Mm-hmm.
So there were some unnecessary changes, but at the same time they mimicked it to the T. So it didn't make sense to me why they would go through that effort.
But also, I want to make a point. Maybe I'll make the point when we move on about the endings. Did you end up watching the second one? The girl who the girl who kicks the hornet's nest is the last one. The girl who played with fire.
No, I haven't watched any other ones. I've just watched the first ones of each.
Yeah, I think you would like the second one a lot.
If I have to watch any more scenes like that.
No. And also, one thing that I do have to, I kind of liked the end of the torture scene. The American one was a lot colder, but maybe I'll move on to that later.
No, I do agree what you're going to say there. In the original, even though you didn't really see much more, they studied the room and you saw like all the victims' picture. It really made it more like cold and dead.
And the fact that, he would sanitize his hands beforehand, and he had like the second one has got a lot to do with the music that's playing with it. So we'll just talk about the original one a little bit more. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think you need to watch all three to understand it a lot more and appreciate it. I mean, it was on a really low budget, that movie.
The original?
Yes.
Right. But you know what? It worked in its favor because I had another note here for the original, the minimal use of imagery. So with Harriet, you only saw the one repeating scene of the beach and the necklace, and that was because that was his memory, and it just made you feel like you could only see that fragment of memory as well, and it painted the picture of like, who is she, where is she, like you didn't have much to work off of. Whereas in the other one, they actually replicated the 60s time, like they actually filmed it for the viewer, which I think worked for that film as well. So they both worked in its own way, but I do like the little fragment, how it repeated, because it was just all he had of her.
I feel like the storyline in general was very dumbed down in the American one.
Yes, they again, I wrote this note. I have like a whole list of my negatives and then my small list of positives, and one of them you're going to get a laugh out of. But one of the notes I had, they simplified the code in the back of the Bible. So they had it as initials and names in the first one, and I really liked that it took a while for them to figure it out. Like they referenced back to the code about 3 or 4 times until Elizabeth finally was like, like, oh, hang on, what if I do this? Whereas in this one, they dumbed it down. They put full names. So she had to work out what the initials were, but they actually wrote the names Marie, Rebecca. Like they had the names written down. So they already simplified it. And she wasn't the one that figured out the full code.
No.
It was the daughter. And you've just taken some of her skills away, you know, from what was in the original.
Yeah, I think everybody should definitely watch the trilogy of them. And that's one thing that I do want to... Daniel Craig likes to do sequels, but the whole cast and everybody they've remade a second version of Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. The girl... What's the...
Claire Foy was in the most recent one.
Yeah, and they remade that, and I can't think of what it's called right now.
Something with a spider's web?
The girl with the spider's web. The girl in the spider's web?
Something like that.
Yeah, and they completely, like, spoilers, in the trilogy, she has a brother.
Oh, okay.
And he can't feel pain. So they hire, like, thugs hire him, and he beats people up and all this kind of stuff. Whereas in the Girl in the Spider's Web or whatever it is, she's got a twin sister. And it's completely different. And, yeah, I didn't finish that one.
Yeah, I think when it comes to filmmaking, they ruin their chances by doing it too quickly. Like 2 years is not enough time to remake an international film, which granted that's all Americans seem to do is remake international films, but that is a very short time. And then to not be well received, to try again with other and with different actors on top of that, I just don't think it worked for them.
Well, I mean, this one had it wasn't just a remake. This one had followers from the originals that then already knew about the Swedish version, people that loved the Swedish version. So they already knew that when they were going into this, that it was a remake. So they have kind of, what word am I looking for? That most people...
background?
Yeah, background, and people that generally watch a movie, American version, don't always know that it's a remake of an
international film. They don't market it.
Everybody knew, well, most people know that this is a remake of a Swedish film.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes. So I thoroughly enjoyed this. Have you got much to say on the old one? Can I also, before you look at your notes, I like the fact that this one, yes, Lisbeth and Mikkel slept together and that they had a connection, but they weren't in love.
Yeah.
They weren't in love. It was just like, we're here now, we're doing, a really intense case, and we formed a friendship.
Yes, or like a temporary companionship.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think her character would be the type to have someone around for long. Like, yes. I don't think that would work with her mental state.
Yes. And just the fact that she couldn't control her own money. And can I just go back to the social services guy?
He was much creepier in the original.
Yes.
100%. I felt so ick. But this was a point that I had to say. The intro had a bit of a different feel. And I actually preferred the intro in the original. It was like a comic book drawing of different scenes throughout the film. So it kind of gave me a bit of an idea of what I was going to watch. And I saw parts of that. Their first interaction, though. And yeah, I wasn't expecting... That was something I was not expecting at all in this film. Because I didn't go into this with any background knowledge. Just I knew the posters and who was in it. And it's so much harder to watch.
Yes.
And I was talking to a friend of mine, and she said she goes, imagine what it is in the movie and 20 times worse in the book.
Yes.
And I'm like, I don't want to read the book. I don't want to read it.
I've got it on audio because right now when I'm cleaning, because obviously we're in isolation, I'm cleaning, I'm just constantly just trying to keep myself entertained, and I'm just a bit sick of the music I've been listening to. So I've been downloading a whole bunch of audiobooks, and I'm almost up to that part and because I read the books ages ago, and I just hearing like a bloke describe it, I don't think I can do that.
Yeah, it's not a very pleasant thing.
No.
At all. And yeah. Again, just back to... Should we move on to the next one?
Wait, what do you think? Okay, what do you give this one?
For me, for a film, I actually give this one 92% but movie reels, I would give it a 4.5. It was done very well.
I'm giving it a 4.5. You think 98% it got on Rotten Tomatoes?
I think 92. I'll bet you it was down rated just because it was an international film.
It got 85%.
Okay, it's not down rated too bad, but I think it should have got 92.
So are you ready to move on to the next one?
Yep, let's do it.
The movie came out in 2011, which is 2 years after the original came out.
Too soon.
Yes. It's starring Daniel Craig, Rooney Mara, and Stellan Skarsgård. It is directed by David Fincher, best known for The Social Network and Gone Girl. I think this remake has a different perspective from normal remakes, as most of the viewers are aware of the original.
Yes. Even I was aware of the original.
So I felt like the beginning of this movie was a bit like every other kind of American movie thriller. But I have to say, I did like the beginning with the Immigrant Song by Trent Reznor and Karen O. I thought that was a really cool song to start off with. And the fact that the music was redone by Karen O, and that it's immigrant songs. So immigrants have a big part of the movie and women also have a big part of the movie. So I thought he did a good job on that. But I know you weren't a big fan.
The song was absolutely perfect. It's more the illustrations they had with the opening. I think they tried to go with that punky vibe, but it just didn't suit the film like the illustrations in the first one. The first one had that sort of like film noir comic strip vibe, whereas this one, it just seemed like they wanted to play with CGI and design, and I don't think it fit.
I felt like it was a bit like Matrixy, and I mean, computers and hacking have a lot to do with the movie.
Yeah.
But I just felt like it took away from what it was about, whereas the beginning of the first one, you kind of got a glimpse of what it was about.
Yes, that's right. Also at the beginning, I feel like I couldn't take to it very well because I watched these movies pretty much consecutively and it was a carbon copy. If you're going to remake something for a US audience, don't fake the accents. Rooney Mara had the Swedish accent. Daniel Craig didn't change his at all. So it just didn't fit. Everything was in English, yet all the writing, newspapers, everything was in Swedish. And they even filmed it in Sweden. So why do the remake when you could have just watched the original?
Although I have to say this one was prettier. Like, to me, the cinematography was a lot prettier, but they had a lot more of a budget.
Yes, yeah. I actually like the cinematography in the original. Like, to me, it really feels like they have just gone to that isolated little Swedish town, with the snow. It looked cold, it looked isolated, it looked dank. Whereas this one, it did look like beautiful photography and filming. Like someone who knew what they were doing went out there and did it. But yeah, I just liked the sort of rough edges in the first one.
And to me, the chemistry between Mikkel and Lisbeth in the first one, I felt like there was a little bit of chemistry, whereas this one, it felt very fake.
Yeah.
And the fact that they over-sexualized Lisbeth, and very much so. And I just felt like there was too much sex in the movie that wasn't really needed. Whereas I know sex sells and I understand all that kind of stuff, but...
Yep. I think it wasn't necessary to add the background with Mika and the editor, how they were both married, they had kids. It wasn't necessary. Like, it was nice in the original. At Christmas, he just spent it with his sister and her family, whereas this, they did like a big, it had to be a big dinner party. He had a kid, that there was ex-marriages. Why would that person you had an affair with be at that party? They didn't need that.
What was the point of the kid?
Necessary. She was the one that solved the biblical reference, which I do not like. They simplified that, and it was better that Lisbeth solved it. That was the whole point. She was a very intelligent girl, and she's showing her intelligence. But they really simplified the fun detective work for the US audience, and I just think there was better detective work, investigation work in the original.
As two completely different movies, so watching them separately, I think they're both great movies, and they've both got their good points and bad points. And I think, as a standalone movie of The American, if you didn't know it was a trilogy, if you didn't know anything, I thought, that's a great movie. But when
Yeah.
you watch the original, you pick up on a lot more, and same as the book,
This one actually get tied off. It could have been a solo film, the way it ended, and it just seemed like it was a single film. I know you have some stuff on the ending to talk about.
I mean, as standalones, they are pretty good, but I have to say, this is the first time that I think the original Swedish movie, is better than the book.
Really?
Yes, because the book has chapters upon chapters of just looking through photos, and it's very dull.
Yeah, I can see that. I think things like the investigation work and looking at all the records, and that is a visual thing. I don't think it's really something that should be read. I think you should be looking at it as well, because then it gives the viewer a chance of, I can see something on the wall there, sort of thing, and see if they can figure it out before the movie actually reveals it. I actually think in the new one, they gave more of Lisbeth's past away, and I think that ruined the mystery of her. In the Swedish one, she really didn't give anything away at all, and even Mika was like, you don't have to tell me anything, and she just sort of let it go. I think that was better than revealing everything about her in the new one. Like, it just,
Yes, I mean, in the next movie, they do reveal a lot more about her backstory and things like that. And I just think it's a lot. I just think, they needed to make this into a second movie, but with the same characters, not different actors like they did with The Girl with the Spiderweb.
Yeah, but I do like Claire Foy, so I think, though, Rooney Mara probably didn't want to do it because when this one came out, they got a lot of crap for it, for obvious reasons that we've also mentioned, but I think she may have wanted to distance herself from that.
And Daniel Craig actually said that he doesn't mind doing sequels, but I just think they got a lot of flack for this one because maybe it came out too soon after
I think
the original.
That was 90% of why. It was just, most people don't do a film that quickly, they don't remake it that quickly. And that was like, as soon as it came out in cinemas, let's go and start recording for the next year, and then they release it. So it would have been in less than a year from release that they would have started filming.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in my notes, I wrote a lot of positive points, and one of them, you're going to laugh. I have to read this as a note because it changes, and you'll laugh and you'll know why, because I was heartbroken when I wrote this. I loved that they added the addition of the cat, because I thought it was a good when they showed him all curled up on the bed, him feeding him, I thought it was a really good representation of the positive effect that animals can have on people, and even especially in this current situation. If you're locked at home, it may not feel like you're locked at home because you got another personality there with you, be it a cat, a dog, a bird, something like that. And I thought that was a really good addition. And then they had to go and kill the cat. And my notes changed to, are you serious? Why are you doing this? And I actually think that was stupid to add. They didn't need to add the cat at all, because in the original, because she has that photographic memory, she noticed things that were touched, and that worked fine. Instead, they added the addition of a cat. He was in it for an hour, in the movie for an hour, just to kill him and put a very bloody image on the ground where you see he's dead, just so she can say someone's been in here. Or he noticed the cat had come in or something. It worked well in the first one, and they didn't need to add that at all.
And that's absolutely correct. And also, like you said before, you didn't need the background story of Mikkel, being in a relationship with a married woman and all that kind of stuff. And even the fact that, oh my God, I forgot his name, the Skarsgård's name.
Oh, the actual character's name?
Yeah.
Martin.
Yeah, and the fact that Martin, was also sleeping with a married woman, and it felt like to me too much drama that wasn't needed.
There was too many storylines. In the original, it was quite simple. You had the mysterious girl, Lisbeth, which they didn't reveal much of, and then you had Mika chasing this investigation. It was simple and it just delved into the past. They were the only other parts that it looked into. You didn't need to go through, you know, in the new one, Mika has a kid. He's got dilemmas with his kid because he doesn't know that she wants to be, you know, she wants to be religious. And then you've got on top of that, he had the affair with the woman's story of how she's trying to, you know, hide around it. Like, it was just too much. It didn't need it. And that's just what Hollywood does, is complicates things.
Exactly. Like you said, the original was 3 storylines.
Yeah.
The storyline of the missing girl, Lisbeth, and Mikkel. That's it.
Yeah, and they connected neatly. That was it.
Yeah. I do have to say, though, the torture scene was done a lot more beautifully and a lot more sinister and creepier, I think. The fact that it was all white and he had to sanitize his hands, and then he had that Enya song playing.
Oh my god, that makes me, I actually don't mind that song, and they play that in so many movies. Now when I hear that song, I can't help but think of that. It just, that definitely, I'll always remember that scene with that song now.
But also, like, okay, Mikkel is a bit of an idiot because he's searching through the house, and then he gets caught, and then the guy's like, do you want to come in and have a drink?
Yeah, he even mentions it, and he's like, you still came in even though you had a gut feeling not to come in.
Yeah, like,
because of politeness.
I know, and I thought that's a really cool concept, that we are afraid to be impolite, so of course you're going to go in and have a drink. And when he had like the neck brace, like that was, and he had the plastic over his back, over his face, that was just, but then again.
But just back to that, visually you're correct. It did look nicer because it looked like it was a man who has been doing this for 30 years or 40 years, because he knew, you know, he had to have a completely sanitized place. He had the drains everywhere, you know, everything. If you looked in the background, like some of the things, the knives and things in the background, they had locks on them. They were in, I think they were in like cages or something. I can't really remember, but they were, I just remember noticing that they were sort of a fail-safe, protected in case someone did get out and could grab it. But it was, I can't remember how they were visually locked, but they were locked. And so it showed you, hey, he has been doing this for quite some time. But the camera is so funny. It looks so classic, like early 90s camera style, like the big chunky black cameras.
Yeah.
When he was recording. And it did look good. Even this little subtle acting technique of, I've never killed a guy, I don't know how to do it, and he stood there like puzzled. It did look like, he is trying to think, how do I do this? Because I haven't done it to a guy before. And that worked well, I think, in his favor.
Yeah, and can we just go to the ending? The ending, Lisbeth is a strong, independent woman.
The jacket part?
And the jacket part where she's like, I love him, I need to be with him forever. And then he runs away with his mistress. And you're like, far out. Really? Yeah. It turned into a bloody love story.
And I think it worked better in the original there. She just went there, she was just having a cigarette waiting for him to come out, saw him, and she's like, okay, I know it's time that I move on as well. Whereas this one, it made a big thing, you know, she took an old photo of him, tried to find the exact jacket, spent a lot of money. Like, it didn't need that at all. But I do like that they showed the heist in the new one. They showed like that was actually a really cool addition to see how she did it. I think that was good.
That was, I have to say that was I actually forgot about that part. I enjoyed that as well, and knew how
Yeah, but also when you go to that scene in the original, they didn't show you the scene. He just saw the one security camera footage and he knew it was her. Whereas in this one, they showed the scene, and I think 2 or 3 times he was near the news story on it, and he still didn't. He always turned away conveniently when it showed her face. I think it was 2 times, and that was a bit annoying because he didn't see it was her. But no, I liked that addition. I thought it was really good, and it was good to see, you know, how she could get it done.
Yeah, and you know, I just feel like they had more of friendship in the second one, in the first one. They had a friendship, and I just felt like it was more authentic, the chemistry between them. Whereas this one, like, I know that Mikkel was meant to be a little bit older than her, but I felt like her and Daniel Craig were too much of an age gap.
Yeah, I agree. I do think it worked better in the first one. There were elements that worked in this one. So when I started it, I really disliked it. This film has actually changed my eyes on Daniel Craig as an actor. I can't stand him as James Bond, and I don't think I'll ever watch his films. But I do have I really dislike him as an actor. Not as much now after I've seen this. I think he was actually really good in this, and it would make me watch other films of him.
Have you seen Knives Out?
Not yet. I do want to watch that.
You will probably hate Daniel Craig in that movie.
Is he like his James Bond character?
No, he puts on a southern accent and it's terrible southern accent. Yeah.
It is on my to watch list, and so is The Hunt, the new movie. Should we move on to our Nerdison's Nerdy Notables?
What do you give this movie?
This one, out of movie reels, I would give it a 3.
Mm-hmm.
There were just some things, like out of the pros and cons, the cons outweighed the pros. It wasn't a bad film. I didn't hate it, but I definitely didn't like it to the original. So I would have to give this one a 3.
This one a 3.5. I didn't hate it, and I thought as a standalone film, it is a great film. But comparing it to the original, obviously the original is a lot better. What do you think this one got on Rotten Tomatoes?
I think this one got 63.
It actually got better than the original.
No.
By 1%, it got 86%.
No, I actually think the original is better.
But then again, how many people are going to, if you had the choice between subtitles and a foreign film versus an American film, you are going to go...
Where I found this one, it actually was automatically dubbed. I tried to get rid of it. It was not bad. I actually think it's still, as a dubbed film, was better than the American.
See, I can't do dubbed at all. Like, when their voices don't match up.
Oh, no, the voices match perfectly. This was done, like, properly.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and I still think it was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, all right, let's move on to
Nerdison's Nerdy Notables.
Again, sorry for the quality.
Yes, yeah. For some reason, Skype doesn't like when we both talk into the microphone, so...
So, I want to say something. On Stan, Parasite is on Stan, FYI. Oh my god, I'm so freaking excited. I've already seen it, but you should watch it.
It was on my to watch list. Before this whole thing came out, we were going to try and see it in a cinema first. But obviously, with the current situation, we can't go to the movies. And today would have been the day that you and I would have gone to watch Psycho at the cinema at Randwick Ritz. But again, no cinema. So it's on my to watch list at home. I luckily and thankfully do still have to work during the week, so I'm not watching as much as I would like to, but I do have a list building.
Yeah, I'm very lucky in the fact that I still have to go to the office. So to me, it's not as realistic that this is happening as much as if I was working at home and things.
I've been at home for weeks.
Oh, that would do my head in. So I was on Stan the other day, and because I watched a lot of, obviously, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, I really like Noomi Rapace, whatever. And I saw on Stan there's a Netflix original movie, which is quite weird that it's on Stan and not Netflix. It's called What Happened to Monday, and basically I think you would actually dig it. It's about the world, we're overpopulated, so the whole world goes to one-child policy. What happens is it's got, what's his name in it? The guy, I can't think of his name. He's got like a weird face, and he was in the Lighthouse movie with
William Dafoe.
Yeah, it's got William Dafoe in it and Glenn Close as well. And so what happens is William Dafoe's daughter has 7 kids, and she dies during birth. And so what happens is he names the kids Monday through Sunday, and the kids get to go out on their days that they're named after, and that everybody's got like a wristband, so it's high security. And so they get to go out and they try to get a job that they can all do. And so he's like, you can be whatever you want to be at home, dress however you want to do at home, but when you're out on your day, you're this person. And it's really interesting.
That does sound really interesting. I might have to have a look at that. I have pretty much been re-binging Star Trek. So I've been binging the original series and then floating into TNG and YouTube videos. So they've been the bulk of my films. This weekend, I've watched 4 films, which was both Girl with the Dragon Tattoos and then both Psycho films for next month. So yeah, that'll probably be my movies for the week. I'm a bit weird with movies. I really need to have my time and sit down. Whereas with like YouTube videos, you can put it on, you can go and do some other stuff, and yeah. But I've heard a lot of good things about the new movie The Hunt. I did watch a full trailer, but the trailer seemed to give a lot away. So I'm a bit unsure.
Harrison Ford? No,
this is the new one. It's got Emma Roberts in it, and they all get like drugged and kidnapped and put somewhere, and people hunt them, and you've got to survive. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds creepy.
Yeah, but the trailer honestly gave a lot away. We know which girl is the like surviving one. We know how she does it. Like it really gave a lot. So my expectations have gone down for it. Because like it even showed you how she solved where they were in the world and shit.
So like is it kind of like Hostel meets Saw maybe?
No, it's like a game. You've obviously got hunters out there who like to hunt people. They just put them here and it's like, all right, you've got a head start, go run sort of thing. And then they'll go and hunt them.
Creepy.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I've been reading a lot as well. I read a really cool book called The Chain, and it's about this girl who drops her kids off to school. She gets a phone call, and basically the phone call says, "We've got your kid. We've kidnapped your kid. In order to get your kid back, you need to kidnap another kid, and you've got 24 hours." And basically, like, that's how the chain...
Oh, man. That's messed up.
Yeah, it's really messed up. Yes.
Yeah, that sounds really messed up. I did start a craft project while we've been in isolation. I had to put it on hold because I need to wait for Spotlight to deliver me more stuff. But it's my first sort of solo sewing. Like whenever I start a task, my mum ends up taking over and I never really learn. So this time it's like I'm going to learn myself how to sew, and I'm doing Christmas stockings. And I did take advantage of the free TAFE courses. So I'm doing...
TAFE courses?
Yeah, they're only small courses. They're only like certificate 1 equivalent. So yeah, I just figured, well, it's free, I might as well. So I'm doing one of those as well. Even though I didn't want to study anymore, I'm doing it.
That's awesome. I started a new D&D campaign on Discord, so that's really cool. I get to still keep my D&D going, and
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I have been doing that, and I brought out my PlayStation 2 because that's how technological I am. I have, oh my goodness, you're gonna love it, I have the Little Britain game.
No way.
I paid a massive $2 for it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you've got different things. So one of them is Vicky Pollard. You've skipped school. So you've got to do 6 skate tricks and pick up cassettes to take to your party at the night time.
Oh my God. And I love that it's cassette tapes.
Yeah, and then the fake disabled guy.
Yeah,
you've got to do tricks and do missions before the guy comes back and realizes that you're not disabled.
Standing. Yeah. Oh, that would be so fun. I actually just got the remake, or I guess digitally enhanced Medieval game. It was a PlayStation 1 game, and they've just redone it for PlayStation 4. So I got that. I'm keen to go and start playing when we finish recording. Yeah, so I've got another thing to do to keep me busy.
Yay, I've just been cleaning and reading and cleaning.
I have been trying to do some walks, and some days that we don't go for a walk, I've been trying to do a home workout because I sit, and I just need to sort of move a little bit. I can't tell you it happens every day. I have been snacking like crazy.
Yeah. But at least, this isolation happened now where we do have technology to be able to still keep in touch. Imagine if this happened, in the 70s, 80s, even 10 years ago.
Yeah, I agree. And there's so much more things you can do now to keep yourself occupied. Whereas, there would have been things before. There would have been puzzles. There would have been reading. There would have been craft tasks. There would have been, woodwork tasks, things like that. Like there still was things for you to do. I just think there's a lot more to do with some technology.
I am going to post it on our Facebook page. There's actually they're doing film festivals via Skype, and they're doing live film festivals. So you got the Tribeca Film Festival, the Cairns Film Festival. They're
cool.
all doing that via online. So I'll have to post that. I can't wait for that.
Yes. So I'll just mention what next month movie picks are. So they are my choices next month. Yay, I get a choice. That's a joke. So next month is the original Alfred Hitchcock Psycho film in 1960. And then we're going to do
the 1998 version with Vince Vaughn.
That's correct. I'm just
because
checking.
there are a lot of different remakes out there, and this is more this, from what I understand, this is more of a remake versus a follow-up, or a remake of a remake, etc.
Yeah, it's more so, it's not so much remakes. You've got Psycho 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and then you've got the American Psycho films, which whenever you search Psycho, they're always going to come up. But so we're going to do those two films, so make sure.
This is an interesting one because I cannot stand Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, I've already watched them and I've already prepped my notes, so I'm not going to get into this now until. It's funny that you can't stand him and I can't stand Daniel Craig.
Yeah,
it's so
funny.
Weird. So 1960 Psycho and then the 1998 version.
And so if you like us or you want to hear more, follow us on Instagram and Facebook. You can listen to us on SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, and iHeartRadio.
And Spotify.
And Spotify. Until then.
We'll see you next month.
Bye.
Bye.